So Clipse has finally released their long-anticipated record, "Let God Sort 'Em Out." It's been very interesting to follow these members for Clipse. Malice, of course, he went the spirituality route and decided to leave the hip hop industry and music industry mainly to practice his own religion, his own spirituality, get in touch with himself. And he also felt that he just wasn't feeling any sort of satisfaction from creating the music that he was making, and he just didn't like the lifestyle that he was currently in. He wanted to take a break from it, and he wanted to find God. He wanted to find spirituality and purpose, which I think it's all a bunch of great reasons, and it's completely understandable to depart from the music industry, especially considering how hectic it is, and I guess how complicated and challenging it would be to keep on producing and creating music with that subject matter at the same time following sort of a personal relationship with God and religion. And Pusha T, on the other hand, has been kind of growing his discography and has been growing as a solo artist. I think there was this like sort of thought process that, with Clips ending, Pusha would probably stop too. But if anything, he was just keep on going and going and going. This band has released countless records throughout the years, especially last decade. I think he dropped what 4 or 5 projects perhaps, and this decade alone, he's dropped It's Almost Dry, and now this collab album with Let God Sort Him Out. And well, apparently Push T and Malice came to an agreement, and they said, you know what, let's come back for one more record. This is how Let's Let God Sort Him Out apparently came about. I was watching the interview. I think it was with was it the Washington Post or New York Post? I'm not entirely sure, but it's a very interesting interview. Hopefully you guys can check it out. And they did a lot of interviews too. One with Complex, one with Joe Budden, and I think with a bunch of other people too. Like, they've been in a whole rollout in terms of interviews. I think the Breakfast Club too. But it's very interesting because Malice goes in detail with why he chose religion and why Pusha T just kept on doing what he was doing and respected Malice's decision, and the reason why Clips decided to just part their ways from there. It just them reuniting to explain the reasoning, I think, was very interesting. So aside this tangent that I'm going about of their own personal reasons, let's actually get into the music, into this album. They dropped 2 singles to promote this record. I believe it was Ace Trumpets, which was the first single, which was a great single. It was really good. At first listen, I was a little bit 50-50, mainly because I felt that Pusha was a little bit off on the song at first, but it really grew in me a lot. And I was very surprised by how Malice actually out rapped and outperformed Pusha on this song. I think since we've been so accustomed to listening to Pusha for such a long time in his solo career and how he can easily wipe people who are even very talented, it was very interesting to see that I think the only person who can outperform Pusha T, at least right now, was his own brother Malice, who came with a huge storm. I mean, who really just like brought out his freaking A game. I would say beyond A game on with delivering such a killer verse on Ace Trumpets. I think one of my favorite lines from that song was, "You turn the other cheek, you'll lie on the Oscars." Uh, it was something like that. And I think there was another one which was like, "Drugs kill my teen spirit, welcome to Nirvana." It was something. It was some of the lines of that, and I thought those were like just so creative and so well made and structured. And his delivery and performance is just amazing. Generally, just groundbreaking. And the second single they released, "So Be It," which didn't receive an official release for a while. I mean, like it was published on YouTube and Instagram, but it never got an official like streaming release until now when this record was released, which is very interesting because apparently "So Be It Part 2" was released first on Apple Music, and then they decided to just change it back to the original beat because it was the beat that they used that they I think previewed on the Louis Vuitton show that Pharrell was hosting. That Clips had music playing, which I thought was a great beat within itself. But the original "So Be It" beat was generally incredible, and I'm glad they decided to keep it. But returning to the single, I thought it was an even more impactful single than Ace Trumpets. The Arabic sample the 808s just clashing into the mix and the kicks. It feels like Pharrell still has it, despite his departure with Neptune, which they do address in the song, since there is a line I think that Malice says. But yeah, I think they came in very strong in the song. Pusha T, I'd say, had a better performance than Ace Trumpets. He really stood out. And aside of the final verse of the song, obviously being a shot towards Travis Scott and the amount of controversy surrounding that verse, I think overall, just Pusha had such a great performance and just really well put together. Like, he really knew how to flow in the beat properly, and I feel that his carefreeness really just drives the track a lot. And I think Malice's addition as well was just incredible. I think he even had a stronger performance than his Trumpets. And from those two singles alone, it gave me the impression that the best was yet to come. So my expectations were like this high, basically, especially considering how Pusha T and Malice are just elite rappers and their history, just their Clipse history in general, their discography, with Hell Hath No Fury being, I think, one of the greatest hip hop records ever. And obviously Lord Willing being another notable classic in their discography. You could tell that these two are elite superstars within the genre. And Let God Sort Him Out thankfully delivers on every single expectation that I had. I don't even think they even missed a single checklist that I had. They even surpassed that checklist that I had. But anyway, yeah, going to the record. This record starts off very beautiful with The Birds Don't Sing featuring John Legend and Voices of Fire. I think it's a very nicely composed track. It's sentimental. It really has a gut wrenching feeling, mainly because the song is about Clipse's, Pusha T's and Malice's parents, how they passed away, the grieving process behind it, how their father, despite having their own, I guess, disagreements at times, always loved them, and just that love and how that love is just unparalleled to any sort of love, and the importance to always loving your parents and loving those, family members that you have, regardless of what tumultuous moment there is or time, since they will be gone at some point. And I think it hits deeper and harder because the amount of detail they're going with, how the emotional impact that it had when their mom passed away on their dad, and how there was sort of a separation going on, and how I guess their dad kind of came and apologized to them, and they sort of made amends together. It just feels like a very beautiful family moment that's being recorded. It's almost like going through someone's diaries and just seeing what they're thinking, or just their whole thought process and what's going on. I feel that opening this record up with that song, it was such a huge left turn, because usually you just expect a banger right off the way. And while I do think the song is a banger, but not like the typical banger So Be It or Ace Trumpets, where it's let me bump this thing, I still feel that it packs so much of a punch, and it proves just how talented they are as writers. And just every single line on this song feels like just a testament to their skill and to just them crafting great emotional songs. And I think the most surprising fun fact of this song is that the person behind the keys is Stevie Wonder himself, which, mind-blowing, by the way. The chord progression is beautiful throughout the song, and I really like the chorus in the song. I think John Legend actually did a great job. In terms of melodies throughout this record, I felt that Pharrell Williams singing throughout the album was a little bit weird, but at the same time, not really. I mean, it makes sense why Pharrell would be on these songs rapping or singing, since he did a lot of that with Clipse's early work. It's something noticeable. We know that. It's not something new. But I feel that some of these songs didn't need him to sing. I feel that some moments it's almost like he invited himself into the song, and it was brother, the song was perfectly fine. You didn't need your addition. I don't think you're adding enough. I think your production, your beats are as great as it's phenomenal, but you should leave it that way sometimes. I feel that the song All Things Considered, while I don't necessarily mind his chorus addition, I still think that it could have been a much shorter song, and it would have been had much more replay value and much more of a punch if he just didn't sing in that song. Because the beat itself, I actually really liked. I know a lot of people are trashing the beat and calling it a boring loop or something, and I understand why, mainly because comparing it to the other beats that his record has, it feels a little tame. But I personally didn't mind the beat necessarily, but I think that him singing on this song just stretched out the song a little bit unnecessarily. It's not a bad performance per se, but it's like kind of unnecessary to a certain degree. And I think the Dreams verse adds really nothing to the song. It's like a few seconds at the end that could have been cut out easily and wouldn't have changed. It wouldn't like it really just wouldn't have affected the song that much. I don't know what they were thinking in terms of just sequencing of the song, but I just felt that it was a little bit off. Not a bad song, but it could have used a little bit better structuring. And I really like both Malice's and Push's verse in this song, obviously, and I like how the beat sort of evolves throughout the song. But I think those adjustments would have made the song a bit more impactful. Now, getting more into things that really blew my mind listening to this album, aside of the very just well orchestrated and composed intro, I love songs like Chains and Whips featuring Kendrick Lamar. I think the Kendrick verse, it's been obviously previewed a billion times, so it wasn't a huge surprise when I first listened to it. And they did release a song a day before, like an Apple exclusive song for some reason. Um, but that song generally blew my mind. Kendrick's verse is like, I think this verse is like on par with Nostalgia's verse. Like his rhyme scale going with that the genius, gentrification, this and that and this. It's an insane rhyme scale in which he's going to. And I really, really loved this one line from that verse, from Kendrick's verse, in which he's talking about that he kid, the rap game died and he kind of brought it back, and that he went to therapy and it showed him how to open up and also showed him that he just doesn't give a fuck anymore. I generally thought that was just brilliant, especially due to, his beef with Drake last year and how he's been making much more aggressive music with Squabble Up, Hey Now, TV Off music that's much more aggressive and just in your face. But yeah, I just thought it was very funny. Just lying is just very cool. But yeah, as I was saying, that Kendrick verse, which is mind blowing. Did you see the rhyme skill and just hear it for yourself? You'll understand what I'm trying to say. But just great performance altogether. I think something that we expected. But I think Push's verse and Malice's verse were also just incredible as well. They were really just flowing their ass off. And the beat in here was incredible, man. Like, generally, like, I heard people just like clown on it on Twitter, calling it a Black Panther end credits theme, which doesn't make any sense. I don't understand what they're trying to say. But I think the bass, how it's mixed in here, the kick drums, that little part, the sort of vox that's going around in the background was very nice. And I also read that Lenny Kravitz played guitar, and I think Push confirmed it too, which mind-blowing collab. I really love the third track in here, which, now thinking about it, the first three songs of this record has The Birds Don't Sing, Chains, Whips, and P.O.V. featuring Tyler, the Creator. The first three songs have that. That's like generally one of the best first three songs I have heard in recent memory. No, like, just not even kidding. That bullshit. It generally is surprising. But yeah, let's talk about P.O.V. P.O.V. featuring Tyler, Creator. What a banger, man. What a banger. I was a little bit 50-50 with Push opening the song, mainly because his flow kind of seemed a little bit monotone, and it sort of did grow on me. But Tyler, Creator's verse was genuinely just incredible altogether. There's this one line that just was really funny in that Tyler verse, which is Push keep moving that white like mosh pits, which bars, man. Genuinely bar. And what I also love about the song is like the song doesn't even peak there, because we have an additional Malice verse right at the end, and the entire beat and progression just like does a huge 180 at the last minute or two. It really gives Malice a lot of room to breathe in and just to deliver one more killer performance, one more killer verse, which is what makes this song stick out so much as well. I just love the Mike Tyson blow to the face beat. It's genuinely like giving nostalgic early 2000s like hip hop Jay-Z vibes. You know what I'm trying to say? Like Blueprint vibes. And I feel that Push is like on some other level. He's like not even in this world when he made that song. Like generally, just the way he's rapping and flowing on this song, and just his quirky lines, his delivery. Like I think he starts off the song like a cappella, and then the beat comes in, which was crazy within itself. You could say this guy, he didn't want to spare a single second. He wanted all the screen time. He wanted all like as much time as he could on him. And then Malice just jumps in the track. He just makes it better. Like the chemistry they both have in this song is unparalleled. It just throughout this record as well. Like in general, I feel that that this album just further proves why Clipse is needed, and why, veterans like Pusha T and Malice will always be veterans, will always be goats. Despite their age, it doesn't matter. They'll still persevere. I think another great feature was Stove Got Cooks on FICO. I think we should have Stove Got Cooks to sing more hooks and choruses whenever we're doing like drug themed like songs, because he just always nails that one memorable hook that just sticks to you. I do wish that Stove maybe had a verse in, but that chorus alone was just catchy. It just kind of sticks with you in the long run. And again, the performances from Clipse in here is stellar and just a phenomenal as well. I've heard many people say that the Inglorious Bastard beats wasn't that great, and I really had to disagree. It was a little bit weird at first, but with Ab-Liva here as the feature, and that DJ tag that just plays in there, that really just transports you to just the early days of Clipse. And it's a really nostalgic moment to just their earlier projects, like again Lord Willing and Hell Hath No Fury. And I thought it was a good callback to that era, and it kind of showed that they wanted to maintain a best of both worlds to please the old fans and bring in the newer fans with the more modern production, at the same time preserve that old school production. I think the track E.B.I.T.D.A is also a pretty good song. It takes a while to kind of like get its big. It kind of takes a while so it could really like sit with you. But like I think after a couple of listens, it's a bit of a grower. But yeah, I think the space is how the structure is in this song is a little bit strange at first. Kind of takes a little bit of its time to really settle in, but once it sticks with you, it generally sticks. It really does. I think the only major complaint that I have with this album is that the last three songs, um, at first they were a little bit like 50-50 in terms of how they were delivered. I feel that the 10 like the previous, like just this album in general had such a quick and past and just like 2 minutes and a half or 3 minute delivery, and we're giving you this and this, we're being snappy, all in your face aggressive, and to then like kind of like slowly develop a little bit more towards the end. I felt that it was a little bit of a strange transition, especially with a song like So Far Ahead, in which at first I wasn't that huge on it, and now I kind of like it. I appreciate it much more than I did. I don't know how I feel about it completely, but it's a song that I can really appreciate and respect. And I feel that part of this like slow progression has to do part with it due to Pharrell just kind of adding something himself. And I know that I've been back and forth in this video saying that Pharrell isn't an issue, and then parts where it's like Pharrell kind of was the issue in here. But Pharrell, just keep in mind that Pharrell has been involved with Clipse forever, the production side of things, and also rapping. And I do feel, as I said, that some of the features in here with Pharrell, I think there's like it's like maybe 5 features in here with Pharrell, which is a little bit, now thinking about it, a little bit too much sometimes. Um, but I feel that some songs you could have cooled it with Pharrell a little bit, especially with the singing part and stuff. You could have just toned it down a little bit more, and the song could have been a little bit more impactful. And as I said, So Far Ahead might be one of those songs where Pharrell maybe needed to take a step back and just not be featured on the song and just keep things to the production side. I think the track like God Sorted Him Out / Chandeliers, at first I was like, I feel this song goes by too quickly to the point that you can't appreciate it properly, especially Nas's verse. But the more I listened to it, the more I was like, you know what? It's really a banger. It's very impactful. I think the part when it switches to Chandeliers that has Nas's verse was very great, even though a little bit too sudden. I think it was pretty interesting. And despite Nas's verse being cut short, I generally think he gets a couple of cool bars thrown in there, and just a great performance all around. And I think it's generally a dream collab accomplished, even though it could have been a little bit harder. It could have been a longer song, but still, I think Clipse puts on their A game as always, and Nas just delivers a great verse that feels a little bit short, but I think with every listen kind of grows in you. The last track of this record, By the Grace of God, feels a little bit too short, especially to just summarize all the things that happen throughout this record and the themes and topics. But I feel that it gets its point across, especially Malice's verse, in which he really goes into depth in terms of his spirituality and how it affected him. And he really just, I guess, explains how going to God, seeking comfort in religion, really led him to a more positive outlook in life, and how grateful he is for the time period that he's in. Pharrell actually did a pretty good job with the chorus. It feels soulful, feels kind of gospel-like, which is the point of the song. So it's called By the Grace of God, and this record does have spirituality themes because of Malice's, relationship with God, and Pusha T's as well. And I really think that it's a good final track to kind of summarize the main points of their own paths with God. But yeah, Let God Sort Them Out. I love this album. Really loved it. Had a blast playing this album. The 808s, the drums, the beats in here are just beyond stellar. Thanks to Pharrell's production, the performances, the at times meaningful and impactful lyrics are really just sprinkled across here. Thanks to just Pusha T's and Malice's collaboration, how they throw bars at each other, giving that old school Clipse feeling, and just showing that they've never lost it. They still had their magic touch. It was just mainly a few complications along the way that just led them to be away for 16 years. And generally, this might sound greedy, but can we get more Clipse projects in the future, please, while you guys still have it? Like, generally, please, we need more Clipse albums. This is what hip-hop needed, and but I felt that it sort of lacked throughout a couple of years. And just to see these veterans reunite and give us a banger like this proves that age means nothing when you have such a talented skill set. Like, they're in their 50s, I think, and they're still rapping this well. So there's no excuses. We need more veterans to keep on pulling up records. If I'm mistaken, I heard that Raekwon and Ghostface Killer are going to return with their own records this month, which if that's true, that's great, and we need more of that. So I salute Clipse for making such a memorable album like this happen, and it sounding the way I dreamed and imagined it would sound. And one more thing before I end the video, I really love the culturally inappropriate tag that was sprinkled around the entire thing. It made it feel like I'm listening to like a world premiere, or just like I'm in some like exotic like play. I don't know how to explain it, but it's almost like I'm listening to an album that shouldn't be released. That it's like only like an elite 1% can only listen to this album. It's culturally inappropriate. It's banned everywhere, and I don't know, kind of gave me that vibe of like just expensive exoticness. Like just not anybody could be listening to this. So I think that attention to detail just made this album felt much more memorable and just really unique. But yeah, what you guys think about this album? Did you guys love it? You guys hate it? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe, turn notification bell on so you don't miss an upload from me, and yeah, stream Let God Sort Them Out, and peace out, everybody.